Yeah, I mean, I did the album before that, The Devil's Seed. That was that the last album that Anubis did with you and Richard? Were they the last two albums they did?
Oh yeah, yeah, it was the last album they did. And then they were still in. They were in when I wrote the songs, or we wrote together. They wrote as well, so they were in the band for the whole feeding the machine process. But then in the middle of the recording, they decided to leave the band. Andy decided first, and he phoned me up. It was a very, very long recording. Simon was building a studio. It was a bit of a difficult time in the band, and Andy had become more. He was more into playing prog rock or 70s hard rock, and he was already in another band. And emotionally and artistically, I think he had moved on. So he called me and said that he wanted to leave the band because he didn't feel it anymore, basically. So he left the band, but he did the last shows that we had, and he didn't want to leave us without a bass player for the shows and the summer festivals. But I mean, we just wished him good luck and everything, and because he was a great bass player, he was a great band member, and if he felt like that, then it was time for him to move on. I mean, if you feel like that in your heart, then you shouldn't be in the band. So I think he really did the right decision. And even though it was extremely bad timing for the band, I mean, I felt good for him and wished him the best, because he is a great guy. And
Yep.
I really could hear also the new music he was making with his new band. He was really enjoying that. So that was it.
Okay. What about Richard?
Richard, I think I shouldn't speak for any of them, because I'm not sure actually why Richard left, but I got the feeling that he was a bit, it was a very, very long recording process due to the studio build and also my songwriting that took a while. And I couldn't really rush that. And I don't know if he was frustrated or whatever it was. He was also having an other career he was kind of a guitarist, acoustic guitarist, singer, troubadour, playing, acoustically singing, and that was actually his day job for many, many years before he went with Wolf. And I mean, he made good money. He was his own man. He didn't have to take any other musicians into consideration. He really enjoyed doing that. So that's what he continued to do after he left. So he left. So we had we're in the middle of recording the album, and we had actually recorded the drums and bass, but the album was, it was lots of guitars and vocals and lead guitars left to do. And then all of a sudden we didn't have a bass player, no drummer. So we didn't really know what to do other than, just finish the record. So we were just like, we did one festival show in the summer in Sweden. And after that, Richard was gone and Andy was gone and Simon and me was left in the band.
Okay, then. So I'm going to ask you, where did Simon come from as guitar player? What band was he in before Wolf?
He played in a band called Memory Garden. He's a
Oh, I
doom
remember
metal
those. Yeah,
band.
I have got some of their albums, bit like Candlemass, that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And they are actually from the same small town that I was born in. So it's really weird how it happened. But Axman, he was when Axman couldn't do a tour with Wasp because he had other commitments. Then he suggested that Simon could do the tour for us. He knew about Simon, and Simon is a great guitar player. I remember saw him with Memory Garden, and I was impressed, and I really liked him. And then we met, over the years. So he did the tour with Wolf, and it felt like, wow, the first show felt like a band, And then after a while, when X-Men left, we just asked Simon. We didn't have an audition or anything. We just asked him because we know that he worked in Wolf. So he's been in the band for like over 10 years now.
Wow, and then you got the bass player, Pontus, who we all know used to be in the Poodles with
Yeah.
King Diamond and Tree. How do you hook up with Pontus?
It was actually first. It was no. We were really looking for a drummer because that is the hardest thing to find, a good drummer. And it was Mike Weed from King Diamond who suggested Johan. He didn't know Johan, but he was on a birthday party, and Johan was playing the drums in the party band, and he was really impressed. And wow, that guy would be perfect in Wolf. So he asked Pontus, who is the bass player of King Diamond, "Do you know this guy Johan?" And Pontus said, "Yeah, sure. He's an old friend of mine, actually. So I can get you his number and everything. Yeah, because Wolf is looking for a drummer." Okay, yeah, no problem. And then he said to Pontus that they are also looking for a bass player if you're interested, and he was interested. And the greatest thing of all is that Johan and Pontus have been playing together for years and years and years in many different bands. So they are it's a complete super tight rhythm section.
So what band was they in together? Which band were they in?
I think Lion's Share. I know they were.
I used to know Lars
together.
Yeah, I used to be friends with Lars.
Yeah, and then I don't know all the bands, but they've been in together. But I know for sure the Lion's Share. But they've known each other for a long, long time, and they are also musicians that are often hired to do stuff. So I'm sure they have been in different constellations where they have been the bass player and the drummer.
So how do you feel about Pontus being in King Diamond and Treat and you guys? Has he got time to do all these commitments, do you think?
Yeah, he's only in King Diamond. I think he's quit all the else, but he plays bass with what's his name, Ron Atkins.
Oh, Ronnie Atkins, yeah, from Pretty
Ronnie
Maids.
Atkins, yeah,
from Pretty Maids, yeah.
He plays bass on the albums, and he will play live with him as well. But he is in King Diamond, and he was in King Diamond when he joined Wolf, and we have to work around that. But other than that, Wolf is the main band he's in. But he's also a requested musician, so he plays on a lot of other stuff, but not in I wouldn't say he plays in any bands, real bands that I know of, at least. But yeah, okay, he is really contributing to Wolf from day one, and he's also contributing with his songwriting as well. So he's very dedicated to Wolf.
Okay, then. So before we talk about the new album, Shadowland, which of the previous albums is your favourite and why?
Black Wings is one of my favorites. It's the second album of Wolf. It's the album where we're really starting to, get very aggressive with the old school metal. And then we felt like, wow, something is happening, when it was us against the world. It was before metal was popular again. And we were rehearsing in a basement, and we had some chemistry and some energy, and you really can hear that on the album. So and also I was really, that was the first album I was really pleased with. All the songs, all the songwriting felt like, wow, because we were very unexperienced. I never thought I would be a professional musician. But we really tried, and then when we heard the result, we were like, "Wow, is this really us? This is fucking good," So that's an album that is very dear to me, and also from the back catalog, I think The Black Flame is very special to me. It's I think it's one of our best albums, and also the first album where I really felt that I stepped up as a songwriter, and because we couldn't write together as a trio in the band anymore. The drummer wasn't there anymore, and we were spread out through Sweden. So I had to write for myself, recording demos, and then I write with their bass player, Michael, who was in the band from the start. But it was on a different level, and it's different when you write songs sitting home, really composing songs, composing music. Compared to writing songs almost like a jam session in a rehearsal. It's two completely different animals. And this time, I think we wrote some pretty good songs on that album. I'm really pleased with that. So the Black Flame is, I like that album. Also, okay. I think that's the album where I really became a singer as well. Before I was a guitar player that sang, but in between Evil Star and the Black Flame, I was a musical artist. I was in Jesus Christ Superstar in Sweden, and I was working with really professional musicians, dancers, singers, actors, choreographers, director. You know, everything was extreme. I learned so much from that experience, and I also took singing lessons from one of the, the main pop rock guy in Sweden. He's the guy. And I think I developed my vocals, and my vocal abilities developed a lot for the Black Flame, and that's also one of the reasons I like that album. That's the album that I really felt like I am a singer now.
Okay then, so I'm going to talk about the new album then, Shadowland, which is going to come out on the 1st of April. Just tell me a little bit about the title. Was this the first title you had for the new album?
It was the first song I wrote, and I wrote it believing I was writing for a solo project or for something else, for something that wasn't Wolf, because I started writing this in the middle of the very, very long recording and the difficult period in the band's life during Feeding the Machine. And I wanted to do something else just for myself. So I started writing, and the first song was Shadowland. Just came to me that the title, felt right. So didn't, know it would be for Wolf. And then I continued to write a couple of more songs. And then, the new members came in, and I realized that I think I've written for Wolf, really. And then Pontus suggested that, Shadowland is a great album title. Maybe we should have it, so it was this thing that grew from it just happened. And then when we saw the artwork, it was like, wow, this album is Shadowland with this artwork and that title and everything. And that's it,
Okay, so who did the artwork for the album before we talk about the album?
Yeah, Thomas Holm. He has done most of the old King Diamond stuff, and he did Merciful Fate, the early Merciful Fate, like Melissa and Don't Break the Oath. And he actually did the Black Wings, which was the second Wolf album. I don't even know how we got in touch with him, actually. But since then, we worked with him. And every time when we have an album ready and it all started to, feel like a concept, then I call him or I email him and I tell about the songs and everything and what's, going on lyric wise and, in my life since the last time. And then he kind of works his magic and makes a huge oil painting interpreting the songs his way. And that's how it works. And when he is done with the painting, that's it. So.
Okay, has he done all your album covers then, for the people that don't know?
No, not all. The first one was done by this guy, Hans Arnold, the Swedish legend.
Yeah.
And then Evil Star was actually a photo, like a kind of a Judas Priest, his 80s photo. So it's a wolf logo, but if you look closely, it's a long-haired guy with a leather jacket with a wolf logo spray painted on, airbrushed on the back of his leather jacket. So, but other than those two, Thomas has done all the Wolf albums, and we, from the start, we wanted someone to work with us like our own Derek Riggs, to have some continuity like Iron Maiden had with their album covers. Like there was a theme through the albums, and we wanted that. And now when we found Thomas, he's our guy. So until he retires, we will use him.
Oh wow! So, just tell me a little bit about the songs. How long did it take to record this album? Where was the album recorded?
The album was recorded in Simon's studio, which he spent a lot of time building. But now, when we had this album, it was already done. Everything was built. It was top notch. All the equipment was there. Everything was, ready. So we recorded there, and he was the main producer. We started a year ago during Easter, and we recorded the drums and bass pretty much live in the studio, and then I continued with the rhythm guitarist, and the four of us were there working together. Simon and Pontus were producing me when I was playing the guitar, and we would try to keep everything very spontaneous, energetic, and not take too many takes. So it was like came into the studio well rehearsed, and then did 3 or 4 takes, and that was it, before it became too perfect and too boring. It's hard, because I am a perfectionist. Really, I am a perfectionist. I don't even like to watch videos of Wolf live, because I only hear the things that I want to do better. But this time, there's a balance between, if you get it too perfect, it starts to sound dead. There's no energy, no life left. It's just very perfect and dead, and we didn't want that. So I tried to force myself to come well prepared for the studio, and then just play the songs a couple of times, and then we just chose the best takes, and not messing around with it too much. And the same, with the vocals, the drums, the lead guitars, because everything was well written. We had songs that were, very well thought out, but we didn't want to overproduce it. So
Right then, did this album have any guests on the album? Do you have any special guests appearing on this
oh yeah, we
record?
have one special guest. It's Dr. Carl. He is a heart doctor from Stockholm, and he is also a keyboardist, and he plays a lot of keyboard for Candlemass, for those albums, and Crux and Leif Edling. He from Candlemass, he calls him up when he needs keyboard, basically, and he's also a friend of Simon. So we wanted theremin on a song called Rasputin, and the theremin is a Russian invention. It was actually the first electronic instrument, and I always liked it, and I always wanted to buy one and try for myself, but I hadn't done it. So Simon was texting Dr. Carl, do you have a theremin? Yes. Do you want to play on a Wolf song? Yeah, sure. Okay, just send it over. And we did a rough mix, sent it over, and told him basically we would like to have Mellotron here, and build it up, and then in the end of the song we would like a big crazy section with theremin solo. Just go nuts, and okay. And then a week later, we just got back what I think is almost like a first take of his theremin playing. And I was, wow, it was so good. I mean, I was, I had goosebumps, and I was, I almost cried because I was so happy when I heard it. It was so perfect for that song. And that song has been waiting for 12 years to get recorded. I wrote it way back. I wrote that song even before Simon was in the band, so he heard the demo back then, but it was actually for another project at the time, but the project never happened. So now I showed the songs to the other guys in the Wolf, and they liked it and thought it should be on the album. So that song, I've been waiting for us to record it with Pontus and Johan and Simon, and also with a crazy theremin solo. So that's the guest appearance, and I'm really happy about it, how it turned out.
Brilliant. Who mastered the album and mixed it? Was it done by Simon as well?
No, Simon was mixing it, and also it was mixed by Pontus Norgren from Hammerfall. He helped us because we were running short and couldn't really meet the deadline. So we were working, parallel, and he's a really good sound engineer. So we asked him to help us, and he was very involved in getting the basic sound of the album, and then we just took it from there. And also it was mastered by another guy called Thomas Pleck Johansson. He's a Swedish guy. He's an extremely good mastering engineer and also a really, really good producer. And he's a friend of Simon as well. So Simon asked him he wanted him to do the mastering, the final touch on the album. Okay. And so he did, and it was really a good choice. I think his mastering skills, you could really hear the difference if you hear the before and after. He is that good, so I'm glad he got involved.
Okay then, so briefly, very, very briefly, could you just tell me what the songs are about? You've got the first song, Dust.
Yeah, Dust is about, the meaningless of everything. It's like, it's a bit sad that we are here in the universe, like all alone on if you have the perspective, seeing from the big perspective, the whole universe that we think that we are the center of, and each and every one of us, we have our own problems and we think they are huge, but when you think of it, we just hear on a very, very, very brief moment, and then we are gone, and the same goes with the earth. When you think about the whole history of the universe, eventually the sun will die and swallow the earth, and will be nothing left, and no one will ever know that we were ever here, humans. And that's kind of depressing to think about it, but it's also, I think, a bit refreshing, because it makes you appreciate what you have now and make the best out of it. And that's what the song is about, Dust. And that is one of the themes on the album that I kind of explore this time.
Okay, and the second song, Visions for the Blind.
Yeah, Visions for the Blind is kind of more of the inner universe. It's hard to describe it, but I think there are... I'm not a religious guy. I was for a period in my life, but I'm not anymore. But I wouldn't say I'm not a spiritual guy, because I find like writing music is that's a spiritual experience for me. And we human beings have always had a need to express ourselves in our culture and developing cultures, in art, literature, visual art, music. It's kind of in our very DNA, and the Visions for the Blind is about the mystery of all of that, I think,
Okay, and the next song is The Time Machine.
Yeah, the Time Machine was a song that I got sent from Pontus that he co-wrote with Simon, and he pretty much sent a whole song, just instrumental. And while I was working my day job, I listened to it, and then I just kind of let the words come to me. And I was it's a kind of a homage to the H.G. Wells novel The Time Machine. I was listening to that when I was working. It's a thing that I've always thought about since I was a kid. What about, if we could go back in time, could we really change things, or would we do all the same mistakes again? So I was thinking about those things, and the words just came to me. It's like when it feels right, when the music and the words feels right, it doesn't feel like you're writing a song. It feels like you're opening up for a song that's already there, and you try to be honest and not fuck it up and not think too much. You don't want to do that. You just want to be very, very honest and let the song develop and do its thing. And when it does, it feels like okay, the song is really speaking to me. It's not like I am writing the song to speak to other people. It's like the song is coming and speaking to me. And hopefully other people could, the more I feel that the more honest I am as a songwriter, the more other people can appreciate it and take the song to and make it their own. So feeling the Time Machine is kind of one of those songs.
Okay, and the next song, Evil Lives.
Yeah, it's also about, exploring the inner universe. One of the themes of the album is really to face the shadows. I think you have to face your inner darkness. Do like C.G. Jung was talking about shadow work, doing the shadow work, realizing that you are capable of evil, I think you have to do that. You have to, as a human being, be honest and be aware that you too are capable of evil. You're not, especially today in social media, people are trying to virtue signal and try to be, everyone tries to be Jesus by pointing fingers to other people, that fucking guy is really evil and he's doing that, and he doesn't believe in this, and I think that's not very constructive. I think it's better to point your fingers to yourself and to your dark sides that you have. Normal people are capable of good and bad stuff, and you really have to face that thing in yourself to be able to be a good guy, I think.
Okay, the next song, Seek the Silence.
Yeah, it's I have been burned out. In 2012, I had a completely burn out from working too much and working with the wrong stuff and doing a lot. And I think I really have a big need for silence and for contemplating and for grounding myself. And it's getting hard these days with social media and everything. All the information is like information overload all the time. Through evolution, we've never experienced this before, and I'm really sensitive to that. And sometimes I just need to shut everything off and just be in the silence. I think that we all need silence, so that's what that song is about.
Okay, and the Shadowland, which you've already talked about, and then you got the next song, is it the ill-fated Mr. Drandrake? Is it
Mordrake?
Mordrake, sorry.
The ill-fated Mr. Mordrake. It was. Sounds
like an Ozzy Osbourne song, Mr. Crowley.
Yeah, or it could be a King Diamond song. I think,
Okay.
Developing a story, a typical King Diamond story. But actually, I got this song. I was listening to a song by Tom Waits called Poor Edward. And I was so intrigued by this song. And I felt like there must be a story behind this song. This song is brilliant. But I knew that I was just getting a bit of the story from listening to the song. Must be something here. So I typed in, that song in a search engine and found out that there was like in the 1800s, there was a case study in a scientific journal written by a doctor about Edward Mordrake, an English nobleman who had defect. He was born with a second face in the back of his head, like a co-joint twin that was underdeveloped. But this face, it could make sounds, it could whisper, and it was very, very, very nasty. And it was supposed to be a girl's face, like an evil woman in the back of his head. And when Edward Edward himself was he was a young, very good-looking man, a very fair-looking nobleman, and he had this evil, twisted face. So it was, the contrast there. And when he was sad, the face would laugh, and it was a terrible for him. So eventually he killed himself. And it was a famous story because of that. It was like, this was in the early days of science. So of course people believed this to be true. And I'm sure that doctor had a great career, you know, making himself interesting, or maybe it was just trolling, but it has been debunked. Like the Loch Ness monster, you know, people build on it and it turned into an urban legend. And so at first I thought, well, this is a great story, but I can't write a song about this because, you know, I don't want to, Tom Waits have already done it. So I didn't intend to write a song about it. But then when I was driving to work one day, I started to sing it, you know, the whole song, almost the beginning and the melody, the words, everything just came to me. And oh, fuck, there is a song here. I need to write it. So I got home after work and I started to, you know, developing it, and I couldn't help myself. And now it's one of my favorites on the album.
Okay, and then you got Rasputin, which you mentioned about the instrument from the keyboards, and
yeah. The mad monk, the Russian monk, you know, it was the Rasputin was it's written from the perspective of the queen, the Tsarina of Russia, that took him as like his protege. And he was in Russia, there's been a tradition of like mad holy men. There are alone, crazy people. It's well, everybody knows this crazy monk, but it played a very interesting part in the last days of the Tsars in Russia before the revolution. And I always thought he was a very interesting character. And so I wrote this story from the perspective of the Tsarina, how she would tell the story, you know.
Okay, and the last song, Exit Sign.
Exit Sign is it's actually a very sad story. It's about I guess you could call him my uncle. He killed himself by jumping from the balcony. He became ill mentally when he was in his 30s, but I didn't know what it was. It was all like a mystery to me. He is, of course, way older than me. You know, no one really spoke about it in the family. And we weren't very close. But then I heard my dad told me that he had he had committed suicide, and he had actually tried many, many times. He was really dedicated to kill himself, and he tried many times. One time he died of an overdose, and then they brought him back to life. Then he promised, okay, I will never do this again. I promise, you know. And then a couple of days later, he jumped from the balcony, and he was like 70 years old. So you think that if you're 70 years old, why don't you just, you know, continue living your life? But he was really dedicated he was determined to kill himself, basically.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
So, yeah, very sad story. And I tried to, you know, ask my family members, but, you know, because I wanted to know what was the actual problem, what was the diagnosis, and never got any answers. And writing a song about this, as macabre as it would seem and respectless, I wrote it to cope with the whole situation for myself, and it's done with respect, but it's also, of course, very weird and macabre to write about something like this. But I think this is when you are an artist, you have to be completely honest. And if you are an author, you're writing about your own personal life and the people around you, but you have to, it's a tough balance, and can be painful. So but that's the backstory of that song.
Okay, thanks for that. So how do you see this new album as a progression from the previous albums?
I think it's almost like a best of all the different elements of Wolf, from the past to the midsection to the present. So I think we managed to like it reminds me a bit of the Black Flame, and also a bit of Evil Star, and also it has elements of the later years of Wolf, where we more developed a more heavy and a more atmospheric sound. I think it has a bit of everything, and more melodic than the previous album, way more melodic. And I think also I wanted the guitars to sound more metal this time. So
Okay. Good. Well, you've done a very good job, by the way. So I hope it sells well for you.
yeah, thanks.
Okay, then. So, next question for you is: when are we going to see Wolf touring? Have you any plans to tour this year, or any festivals or anything?
We don't have any festivals because everything has been crazy due to the COVID, and the tours we had that had been canceled away some time ago. So now we're working on doing some small mini tours, because we don't want to sit on our asses and wait for an opportunity. We're just going out and do club gigs if we don't get any other bigger offer. So we're going to do like mini tours in like one tour in UK, and then a couple of weeks later we go for a small like 4 days tour in part in Europe, and then to next part of Europe, and that's going to happen in the autumn. That's the plan that we're working on now. And then if some opening happening and festivals or something like that, we will be rehearsed and ready to go. So we will play as much live as we possibly can, although it's very difficult to book something right now because of the uncertainty and that everything is lagging 2 years behind now.
Right then. So, do you think you'll be doing a live DVD in the very near future? Have you spoke to the record company about releasing a live DVD? Now you've got enough albums
No,
to release one.
no, we haven't. But and I got this question during the years, and as I said earlier, I'm a perfectionist, a hopeless perfectionist, and I don't like to see myself not performing perfectly. So I've been kind of reluctant to do it. But now, with the new musicians in the band, with the lineup that we have now with Simon and Johan and Pontus, now I can really see it happening. It's starting to sound really, really good. Just, rehearsals and live, it sounds pretty awesome, actually. So I feel it's more like up to me not to fuck it up, because it's difficult to play the guitar and sing at the same time. But we haven't got any actual plans on it. But now I can see it happening, and I can see myself become happy with the results. So I think it's not impossible.
Okay then. I'd like to thank you for doing this interview, Nicholas. Do you have anything to say to the people that will be watching this on YouTube?
No, just thank you very much for watching, and thank you to everybody who is supporting all Wolf through the years, and especially people from the UK, because that's kind of where our music came from. We're carrying on that tradition and having a Swedish take on it. So thank you very much.